Welcome in, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome to another Monday Midday Cruise Q&A. Although this cruise Q&A is going to look a little bit different from the past, I'm going to answer questions you may have about being a travel agent, starting up a travel agency, being a content creator, all of those questions that I get all the time in my inbox from people that are looking to get started. I have questions about how I do what I do, things like that. So this is going to be a different edition now. I didn't have this scheduled, so I do appreciate you guys coming in this impromptu. I think I scheduled it yesterday. I'm actually supposed to be on a cruise right now, but I wind up canceling just because I'm completely exhausted from the last 2 weeks of traveling. So I thought since I'm home, I might as well go live. And I thought now would be a great time to answer some of those questions that you all have and that you guys have been asking me. Now, if you are new here, I'm RacQuelle from MH Family Adventures, and we are a cruise vlogging family. I'm also the owner of Major Adventures Travel Agency. And one of the things that, and some of you guys that are in the chat probably have, inboxed me, asked questions, things like that. I usually do my best to try to answer questions when it relates to being a travel agent, owning my own travel agency, being a content creator. I try to be, as transparent and try to answer those questions, but it's getting to the point where I'm getting these questions daily. And I just honestly don't have time to always answer or even answer in full detail. So I thought, I'd take some time out and instead of answering your general cruise questions, I'm here today to answer any questions you may have about starting up your own travel agency, being a travel agent, content creator, what have you. So if you are new here, just to give you a little bit of context, first off, let me just say this. I am no expert when it comes to being a travel agency owner, a travel agent, or a content creator. There are people out there doing it bigger and better than I am. I've really honestly been at this for about 3 years now. If you guys have not been following our journey, I have a doctorate in education. I've been an educator, school principal for 19 years, and I quit almost 2 years ago to do this full time. And it's really paid off. Being a content creator and a travel agency owner, it kind of all goes hand in hand. Welcome in, Liam's having fun. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. I appreciate that. So I haven't been doing this too long, just 3 years, but I would have to say without sounding boastful. So guys, don't take anything that I shared today as me being boastful because that is just not my style. But things are going pretty well with what I'm doing as far as being a content creator and travel agency owner. So I just thought I would share any of my knowledge or answer any questions that you may have. Again, I'm no expert. I may not have the right answer, but I'm going to share with you what I know. So let's see who's all here. Welcome into the 62 watching already. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's see. I am going to the chat. Let's see if I'm live on Facebook. I should be. Bear with me for a second. I am live on Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook, you can drop questions there as well, and I will do my best to answer them. Now, I am going to stay live for an hour. When I tell you I'm exhausted, I'm exhausted. And I have a lot of things I have to get done. I'm trying to start rolling out the World America content. And guys, let me just say the approval process, because if you guys don't know, I was invited on board for MSC World America. And so some of my content is paid content. And anytime you're getting paid for content, it has to go through approval processes. And I'm still waiting for my full ship tour to be approved so that way I can release it and get paid for releasing it. So it's kind of holding up my other content. So hopefully that'll happen today. If not, hopefully tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But let's see who we have here in the chat. Welcome in Sapphire. Says good afternoon. Hope you had a wonderful, blessed holiday. Yes, and happy belated Easter, Resurrection Sunday to everyone. Hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Life with is it Tanisha? Tanisha RN, welcome in. Hello to you. Savvy Voyages says hello to everyone on this crazy Monday. Yeah, it feels that way. It feels that way. Lucy, welcome in, says hi. I wanted to get advice on how to make the budget airline seats a comfortable ride for plus size folks. I think you might have messaged me earlier and you asked about the seat extender. You can request, all airlines have seat extenders. They don't have a whole bunch of them, but they will have a few. So I would say as soon as you get on the plane, usually there's a flight attendant right there at the door. Just ask them if you could have a seatbelt extender. All airlines offer those. As far as making it comfortable, you might want to upgrade to like Spirit. They have what they call the big seat. You can upgrade to that. They also have like a middle tier program now where you can get a seat closer to the front that the middle seat will be empty. So if you want a little extra room to spread out, you can book one of those. that middle seat will be empty. That's what I've been flying lately with Spirit, because I do like to kind of spread out, especially when I'm cruising by myself. Welcome in on the Go with YOLO. Appreciate you being here. Miss Tiffy PD, welcome in, and shout out to all of our channel members watching here today. And guys, I'm going straight into for the questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and drop those in the chat. Let's see, Miss Sapphire, Miss Naturalized, welcome in. Cassandra, thank you for being here. Happy Monday to you. Says, can't wait to hear about World America. I can't wait to share with you guys. I'm just waiting on that approval. So I don't want to release something I'm not supposed to release yet until it's fully approved, because I want to get paid. So Alyssa's Adventures in Cruising says, hello, RacQuelle, in chat, listening and working. Appreciate you being here. Liam says, how are you doing? You get some time at home for a while, just for a short stay. Just for a short stay. So welcome in, Shakira. Thanks for being here. Unlearn and earn. Thanks for being, or unlearn and eat travel. Welcome in. Yeah. So I'm looking for questions. So go ahead and start dropping your questions. Welcome in, Miss Thea. Appreciate you being here. You are welcome. Hope you had a wonderful birthday. Ronnie C, welcome in. Lady D Clark. Talithika, I don't think I'm saying that right, but welcome in to you. Daphne, welcome in. All right, let's go to the first question here. Barnes on the Go, welcome in, says, what advice would you give to a family travel content creator just starting out? And how does it work with connecting with brands? So as a family channel, first off, let me just say this. Any type of content creator, whether it's family, solo, whatever it is, travel, food, whatever, it takes time to grow. We have been on YouTube now. How long have we been on YouTube? Since our first cruise vlog was released September 2021, and we just hit 30,000 a couple weeks ago. I think we're almost at 30,600. So it takes time to grow. So you just have to make sure that you're being consistent. That is the biggest thing, is being consistent. Your audience wants to make sure that you're not just a channel or an influencer or a content creator that's just posting, willy-nilly, just, here and there. They want to make sure that you're consistent. So I do my best to try to be consistent with posting, vlog every Friday. The last Friday or 2 Fridays, it's been kind of tough because I've been traveling, but just trying to connect with your audience. Also kind of gauging what your audience wants to see, and also having a balance of what does my audience want to see and what do I want to do, because you have to, it gets tiring when you're always trying to accommodate or you want to listen to your audience. However, because you're doing this, you're paying for your travels, you want to enjoy your travels, you have to find a balance of what is it that you want to do, that you want to share, with what your audience also wants to say, because what your audience wants to see, because that's going to increase your engagement if they feel like they can connect with you because you're sharing things that they want to share. Also, being a family travel content creator, I would say one of my biggest things, and I don't know if I've ever really shared this publicly or shared it out like this, is yes, we are a family channel. You guys probably will notice that our kids, especially now that they're getting older, they're not in the vlogs as much. I feel like a lot of times there are family channels, family content creators that almost somewhat force their children to do things, say things. You want to be as natural as possible. Any and everything that you see in our vlogs, unscripted. It's, I'm not telling the kids to do it. I'm not asking them to do it. If at any point they don't want to be in a vlog, I never force them. So do whatever comes naturally, because you'll learn, and I'm looking at your profile picture, looks like you have young children. You'll learn that, there's gonna be times where your kids don't want to be in vlogs. They just want to go have fun. Allow them to be kids, allow them to be teens, and don't force it on them. So you guys, if you've been following for a long time, we've kind of had this shift. In the very beginning, it was always the entire family. Now you see more of me. You also see more of me and Jo Marie, because Jo Marie wants to be on camera. Jo Marie wants to vlog. She loves to, be on camera. Whereas the boys are kind of like, I don't have to be, but I can be. So it's never forced. So just kind of, I personally cringe whenever I see family creators where I feel like kids are being forced to say or do things for engagement. So just kind of balance getting the content and also having fun making those memories. Um, but yeah, consistency is the biggest thing. Putting out good quality content, informative and fun is pretty much what I think people want to see. You have different types of vlogging styles, so just figure out which one works best for you, or have a combination of both. I kind of do both. showing some of the fun, but also giving information. I think people utilize social media and YouTube to get information. And so, as an educator, that is kind of my goal. My job is to give people information to make cruising better or an easier experience. So, just kind of figure out what type of content you want to create. And then connecting with brands, I would say that is something, honestly, that takes even longer because brands want to see first off that you have an audience. They want to see that you have an audience. They also want to see that you do have some sort of influence. Now, the influence can look differently. People feel like you have to have millions of followers. Guys, we do not. We have 100,000 across YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm going to say that's it. But there are some other influencers that have millions. We don't have that. However, brands recognize that we have loyal followers, that what I share converts over to sales. So, having a travel agency, I can easily say, hey, yes, I don't have a huge following, but I can tell you that I'm pushing a lot of MSC, and I've sold over a 500,000 in MSC this year alone. And so I can prove those numbers. I can share that, and that's kind of what the brands want to see. But really, they want to see that you have an audience and that your audience is engaged, whether it's through your videos, through commenting, or purchasing whatever product, service, travel, whatever it is. So that's kind of what they're looking for. Connecting with brands is something. There's so many different avenues to go about as far as connecting with brands. The way that I've gone about connecting with brands, if you guys, again, are new here, and welcome into the 129 watching. I appreciate you guys being here. I have worked with brands such as MSC, which I just was invited on the media sailing for MSC World America, and I've worked on 3 other sailings with MSC. I've worked with Princess Cruises, Holland America, Resort for a Day, Shore Excursions Group, yeah, Royal Caribbean. So I've worked with a lot of different cruise lines and a lot of different cruise related or travel related companies. And usually, this is the thing, people feel like you have to wait on someone to reach out to you. Don't do that. I can tell you that most of my brand deals or partnerships was because I put myself out there, either sending a message on social media to introduce myself and or our family or the travel agency, and just kind of share, this is my style of sharing information. Would you be willing to partner? A lot of times you're going to get no, a lot of times you're not going to get an answer, but you just have to put yourself out there. You don't wait for somebody to reach out to you, because you have to keep in mind there are so many content creators, influencers, vloggers out there. And a lot of times, honestly, they look at the numbers. So they look at the numbers initially. It's like that first impression. If you have 1 million followers, you're doing something that people like, and that's why you have 1 million followers. But do those 1 million followers convert to sales? Do they convert to, engagement of their products? So put yourself out there and just ask questions. I know that's a loaded question you asked, and I'm probably going to touch on a lot more of that through other questions. I hope that was helpful. Tamara, welcome in. Lucina, good day to you. Let's see. Liam says, I thought I was, but I remembered you changed your membership up. Yes, I did. I did. Let's see here. On the Go with Yellow says, do you solicit cruise lines for media sailings, or do they see you, notice you, and reach out? So, as far as like the media sailings, and it's not always a media sailing. Sometimes I have worked with cruise lines where just a cruise that I have planned or planning, they've worked with me through different ways. Either I would get paid for content. Sometimes it might be that I might have a comped cruise in exchange for some content. And then sometimes it might be that they're offering products or things in addition, just to put out information. So you can go about it different ways. In the beginning, it was me reaching out to the cruise lines, reaching out to different companies to say, this is who I am. That's actually my very first sponsor, was Cruise Control Transportation. They reached out to me and I was shocked. So we weren't even at 10,000 subscribers, I think, at that point. If you guys don't know Cruise Control Transportation, Corey and his team, we love them. They provide transportation from Port Canaveral, or from Orlando Airport to Port Canaveral. And so we were like right under 10,000 subscribers, but he had been a loyal follower of our channel and saw that we cruise a lot, and reached out and said, hey, we want to pay you to produce content for Cruise Control Transportation. And so that kind of trickled and started things. So once he reached out, and we had a partnership and still kind of ongoing, then it was like, okay, maybe we can do this. So it just took that one time, and it kind of gave me that confidence to say, well, if he reached out and he likes what we're sharing and doing, maybe some other places will. So, but to answer your question about the media sailings, um, media sailings can happen different ways by reaching out to the PR team for the cruise line. A lot of times, honestly, they already kind of have their eye on who they want to be on board. And keep in mind, too, a lot of times these cruise lines, they're not necessarily looking for cruise vloggers. They're looking for lifestyle people. They're looking for people from different avenues. So you'll see in my World America series that there were people, I mean, some of the people I didn't even know, had no clue who they were. I felt like there was only a handful of us actual true cruise vloggers on board. So they're not necessarily looking at your cruise vlogger. But yes, just contact like the media department, the PR team. Sometimes you can reach out to the social media team on Instagram, TikTok, just send a general message. Again, most of the time they're going to say no, or they're gonna, not respond. But just continuing to reach out and ask, and put yourself out there before you know that a sailing is happening. So for instance, I didn't have to reach out to MSC because I've already partnered with MSC and they like my work, so that was just a natural invite. But there have been other cruise lines, for instance, Royal Caribbean, where, initially I had to keep asking and didn't get a response, or I eventually got a no and then just kept pushing. And then things started happening. So you have to constantly ask, and then like don't just keep asking, come back with, since the last time I messaged, we've grown our following X, or I've sold X, number of Royal Caribbean sailings based on, I see that there's a correlation. When I was on this ship, I came back and I booked X number of sailings for this. So I think I do have an influence that way. Um, Another way that people get on media sailings, especially if you are a travel agent, is if you have media or preview sailings, is if you have a connection with your business development manager. So you may notice that a lot of times on these sailings, now keep in mind there's different ways to go about it. Like I'm trying to explain. I'm probably all over the place right now. But like the World America sailing, you had influencers on board, you had travel agents. I was on board as an influencer for that sailing, but the travel agents that were on board because they were invited from their BDMs, their business development managers. Those travel agents are usually on board because they are high salespeople for that brand. Or they have a good connection with their BDM. So you can be invited. So I have been invited on other sailings through BDMs because of either my sales or my connection with them. So, but those are two very different things, because when you're invited as part of a media sailing or an influencer, you get different levels of access. And then also it's a paid opportunity. So, for instance, World America, they paid for my flight, they paid for my hotel, they're paying me for the content. I didn't pay anything for the cruise. I had drink package, all of that stuff included. And then on the travel agent side, it may not be all of that. It may just be, we're going to put you on the cruise ship and that's it. So, but you can get on board those different avenues: content creator, influencer, and then also being a travel agent. But reach out, definitely reach out. Again, you may not get a response, but at least you kind of put your name out there. And then if an opportunity arises, they may reach out. But I can tell you that you really have to, and I don't think we have a large following. And so for me, I feel like I'm to the point, because we don't have a large following, I have to put ourselves out there even further by saying, hey, here are my sales. Hey, here's what I do. And this is how I present my content. I'm an educator by nature, and this is how I present my content. I want to share with people how to cruise your brand and how to, make the best of what you offer. So you have to really put yourself and sell yourself. Everyday Getaways, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Mia's World of Cruising, thank you for being here. Welcome in, Sister D Israel. Thank you so much. And 161 people watching. If you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up for me. And again, if you're new here, I'm RacQuelle from MH Family Adventures. Usually on Mondays when I'm not cruising, and I should be on a cruise right now. I should be on Norwegian Aqua right now, but just been a busy last 2 weeks, and I have some travel coming up here real soon that I'm super excited for. But I'm the owner of Major Adventures Travel. I get a lot of questions all the time about being a travel agency owner, how to get started as a travel agent, how to get started as a content creator. So I thought, because I can't always answer those questions, I just get too many of them and I don't honestly have the time to answer. I thought I would just make this Midday Monday Cruise Q&A a question, an open session to ask questions about being a content creator, about travel agency, things like that. So feel free to drop your questions. Brian E. Martin, welcome in. Mia's World of Travel, thank you for being here. Miss Glory Jackson, welcome in. Miss Bree Brizzle. Felicia Holmes, welcome in. Is it Lana Mills? Thank you for being here. Everyone, welcome in, welcome in. Shannon is asking a question. It says, where did you get your training to become a travel agent? Now, let me say this. I do have 2 live streams on our channel where I go into detail on how to get started and how I got started. There are different ways to do it. One thing that you need to know about being a travel agent is you don't need any formal education. And I think that is a misconception. People feel like you have to go to school. There is a place called the Travel Institute. People go there to get, degrees and, licensing and certificates and things. To be a travel agent, it is not required. Even me having a doctorate, I did not need my doctorate to start up my travel agency. Although I do think the skill sets that I have as an educator, as an administrator, have helped me to grow. But thank you so much, Patty, for subscribing. I appreciate that. So as far as the training, it is honestly, for the most part, self-guided. There are organizations such as CLIA, where you can go through and get certifications and learn more about cruising, especially if you're not a cruiser, where you can learn, go through modules, you pay for some of those courses, and you can ultimately get certified that way. But for the most part, once you select a host agency, so if you're not familiar with what a host agency is, most travel agents or travel agency owners will start off by using a host agency. A host agency is an organization that is going to help set you up or help you set up your business. And they're going to provide you with compliance information, errors and emissions insurance. They're going to connect you with the suppliers, give you login access, things like that. Now, not all host agencies are created equally. There are different types of host agencies. You have some where you have people that work under you. You get paid based off bringing on people. That is not the type of host agency that I'm with. But so initially getting some of that training as far as compliance and setting up things, I did get through my host agency. But a lot of it is self-guided. A lot of it is once you connect with those cruise lines, each cruise line will have like a certification program. So you might go through Carnival Cruise Line and go through their program, figuring out, learning about their ships, learning about their destinations, things like that to become certified. Um, you don't have to be certified to book any cruise line, but it does help for you to become an expert. But honestly, the biggest form of learning or education when it comes to being a travel agent is travel itself. And I see a lot of times travel agents that don't even travel that like I've had some that have reached out and they're like, I'm struggling to get clients or get leads. And, how do you do it? Honestly, I don't, you guys probably rarely see me post, I need clients or, come book with us. It kind of happens naturally because people see the vlogs, they see the information and they see that I travel. So your biggest training, honestly, is traveling itself because there's nothing that I learned through the cruise lines individual training that I felt like what best prepared me was actually getting on cruise ships and experiencing the product myself because now I can share that with people and I have a better understanding of cruising and what each cruise line represents. So again, there's no formal place to go for the training. You just kind of train yourself. And this is something that people need to know. If you are trying to start up as a travel agent, it does require a lot of get up and go, meaning you have to be willing to put in the work to learn about the cruise lines, or even if it's resorts. So I can tell you guys this, I don't book resorts. I don't book resorts. I don't book all inclusives because I don't know those products. I don't feel comfortable enough because I haven't been to enough. And so you have to determine what is it that you want to focus on. And I decided I'm only going to do cruising because I'm comfortable with cruising. And so once you get started, it's just a matter of you going out there once you get access, taking the training from each individual cruise lines, reaching out to you have a CLIA where you can get some training, ASTA, ASTA, Association for Society for Travel Advisors. They offer trainings and things like that. And there's constant training and opportunities that happen, like even weekly. Cruise lines will say, we're having this webinar or we're having this live session. So you're constantly learning because as you guys know, the travel industry is constantly changing. So official training, there's really no school for that. You don't have to have a degree for it, but you do have to have the grit, meaning you're willing to put in the work for it and understand that it's going to take time for things to grow and for things to happen. Because I can tell you that I started in 2021 and I don't think I started making my first bookings until probably the first quarter of probably around March or April of 2022. So I've been doing this right at 3 years. Um, because it was me learning, it was me trying to figure things out. So it takes time to get started. You're not going to become a travel agent and think you're going to start making bookings the next week, because it does take time. Then the compliance issues, you have to make sure that, you have your sellers of travel licensing. You have to have, certain things in place for your business. So, and speaking of business, if you are looking to become a travel agent, there's two different routes to do that. You can become a travel agent under someone else's agency, which is different than you starting up your own agency. So when I'm referring to training and compliance and things like that, if you're just someone looking to work under someone's travel agency, then you may not need to know all of those things. But if you're looking to start up your own, there's a lot more, involved with that. So, um, let's see here. Another question. We are using birth certificates to get on the elation in a couple of weeks. Question is, do you have to take your birth certificates off when you're in port, or is your sail and sign card and ID okay? Yeah. Yeah, if you're cruising with the birth certificate, then anytime you travel, you want to leave your birth certificate and or passport in the safe in your cabin. You can get off the ship without your birth certificate. You just need your ID and your sail and sign card, and that's perfectly okay. You should leave those items in your safe, because God forbid, if you don't make it back to the ship, the crew will actually take your documents out and leave them with the port authorities so that you can try to get back home. Keep in mind that if you're cruising with a birth certificate, you may not, you'll have a challenge getting back home without a passport. But yeah, leave it in the safe. I would recommend taking a picture of it, having it on your phone just in case, but you won't need your birth certificate getting off. And it's recommended to leave it in the safe or leave it in the cabin, because if you lose it in port, it's harder to get those things replaced. So leave it in the cabin. Let's see here. It says, is it difficult to market your YouTube and TA business with different names? So that's actually a really good question. So we actually started the YouTube channel before the travel agency. And so we had the MH Family Adventures. And whenever I started thinking of names for the travel agency, I wasn't sure if we named our travel agency MH Family Adventures, if that was going to kind of limit me to family travel. And so we kind of went back and forth. My last name is Major, or my maiden last name is Major. And so that's kind of why we went with Major Adventures Travel. But I would say, no, it's not difficult. It was kind of confusing for some people in the beginning, because when they would reach out, they would expect to hear back from MH Family Adventures. I do like in my signature line. And if you look on our website, majoradventurestravel.com, everything on the front cover shows MH Family Adventure. So people have made that connection. But as far as marketing, no, I don't think it hurts to market, because honestly, I don't feel like I actively market for Major Adventures Travel. I think I just post the MH Family stuff, and then people reach out and say, hey, are you a travel agent? Or, I heard that you're a travel agent. And then I kind of put out the Major Adventures Travel. So I post more and share more about MH Family than I do Major Adventures. But I would say, if you are looking to get started, it would be a lot easier to make them cohesive, and have, if you are a content creator and a travel agent, to make the names the same, so people aren't confused, because there was some confusion in the beginning, but I think people have it now. And then sometimes I get people that find Major Adventures Travel because we're using GoDaddy as our website, and they have this SEO like addition, and it really pushes us out. We're getting like 10,000 people visiting our website every month now. And so I get a lot of people now that just find Major Adventures Travel. They don't have a clue that we're cruise vloggers or that I'm a content creator. And so I had that happening as well. So in the beginning it was confusing, but now it's pretty okay. Welcome in, Ashley Clark. Appreciate you being here. Let's see here. Brian, thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate that support. Thank you so much. Unlearn and Eat Travels is there anything you would do different if you started over? If I started over, I probably would have, I didn't know we were going to, and I don't want anything to ever sound arrogant. I didn't think we were going to blow up like we did with the agency. I probably would have started off having somebody on the team, like my sister. My sister's now an agent with our agency. I probably would have started off having someone. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I kind of just took a leap of faith when I left the school system, because at the point where I left the school system, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but I knew I needed a break. And at that point, I was probably making maybe 50,000 in commissions for the year, which compared to my principal salary was not enough. And I just kind of said, I'm going to see what happens. And that's more than tripled now. So it's it's I don't know if I would do anything differently. I probably would have done it sooner, because I've kind of always had this passion for planning and cruising and travel, and so I probably would have started sooner. But doing anything differently, I don't think I would do anything differently other than I probably should have started with having someone, because it would have made that transition. Like once I brought my sister on, it would have probably been easier to have started together, but things are going well now. But I don't think there's anything that I would do differently. I would say that I did a lot of research in the very beginning, even had buyer's remorse. So, like my current host agency, I reached out to them before I got started, paid my membership fee or the sign on fee. And literally within 24 hours, I said, you know what, I changed my mind. They refunded me. And that was it. So, I did a lot of research in the beginning. And then once I realized that the host agency that I have now, I connected with them again, things worked out. So I say do a lot of research, because there are so many different host agencies, different commission splits, different types of structures. I'm thankful to be with a host agency that allows me to operate my own business the way I want. There are some host agencies that will tell you what you have to name your business, that you have to have X number of agents, this and that. That is not my style. So but yeah, there's nothing that I would do differently. Davian and Quanda, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Hanging with the word says, what's a good beach day in Falmouth and Grand Cayman? I've never been to Falmouth. Have not been there yet. But Grand Cayman, 7 Mile Beach is where a lot of people go um, for the beach. Also, if you do a tour that will take you to Starfish Beach, that is a really nice beach. It's a very secluded, small beach. I don't think they have chairs and umbrellas, but you have to get there by boat, but it's very secluded and they have a bunch of starfish there. But 7 Mile Beach is the beach to go to in um, Grand Cayman. Michael, welcome in, says checking in from Odyssey of the Seas. Hope you're having a great time. Sean, welcome from St. Lucia. Appreciate you being here. Drea, welcome in. Miss Tiffy PD, it looks like a content creation question. If one has never done this, is it difficult to upload, edit, and do all those inserts to videos? I have tons of videos on my phone and never thought about cruise content. I would say, honestly, if you didn't film those videos with content creation in mind, it might be easier to just start new, because I'll say this, I have a lot of content on all kinds of SD cards on my phone. And honestly, I've learned that when I plan my content and what I'm going to do, it works out better than trying to figure out and piece together things. So one of the questions that I always get is, first off, what tools do I use to create content? Um, 90% of what you see on YouTube is going to be from a GoPro. Although I'm looking today or tomorrow to buy a new camera. I've used GoPro since I started. Love GoPros. Use them for underwater. I have two different GoPros. One I use just for land. One I use whenever I snorkel and things. And then I have an Insta360. If you've ever seen like those drone-like shots, or like where I'm standing on a balcony and I kind of get the whole ship, that is an Insta360. And I use my iPhone for any social media content. So any vertical content you see, I use my iPhone 15, I think it is now, for that. But as far as editing, the tools that I use for editing, I use CapCut. I started off with using iMovie, which is part of iPhone. CapCut is very similar to iMovie, but it has more features. I just found those to be pretty easy, and I literally edit from my phone. There are some content creators that have like some very impressive editing software and tools. It's just not my style, because I'm not very techy, and so I needed something that would be quick and easy, that I could literally, if I'm in a car ride going to track or cross country, I can take 10 minutes to edit while I'm sitting in the car. So I do everything. I edit from my phone. I use CapCut. But I would say you'll find it easier that if you go on a cruise or traveling and you say, you know what, I want to, start sharing about the food, like do a quick clip of everything I ate on board MSC World America. So you're going in with that in mind. So you're going to be more intentional to actually film the food and things, and you have it right there on your phone that you can edit quickly rather than having to go search through tons of footage. So, but if you want to spend time going through footage, it is not hard to edit those videos, but you'll probably notice that it may not be as concise as you want it because you didn't go in with that intention, if that makes sense. So I've learned to kind of have an idea of what I want to film, and I kind of have my own style. If you guys have watched my vlogs, they're pretty similar in how I vlog, and so I already know what I'm going to film, and it just helps to get things together. Something else to know, if you are a content creator and you're editing from your phone or you're vlogging from your phone or SD card, organization is crucial. And I honestly do not have that. It's something that I'm constantly working on. So for instance, if you see me posting reels or vertical content on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of those things, I just recently started creating folders in my phone. So that way, if I'm talking about cruise tips, I'll have a folder that says sunrises, a folder that says sunsets, a folder that says Carnival Cruise Line funnel. It'll say, water-based excursions, because now I have like a catalog of clips that I can kind of pull from different folders to make a video that's going to give cruise tips. So I don't have to always search through my phone. So I'm very intentional now to do that, because before it was just stuff was scattered all over my phone. I do have a photographic memory, so I can usually quickly remember when I took a video, if there's a clip I'm thinking that I want to utilize, but it just helps to kind of get organized and separate things out that way. That way you can easily come back to it. It saves a lot of time with editing, because honestly, editing is probably my worst. Like I like to edit, but edit is so time consuming, especially now because I'm putting out so many videos and I'm traveling so regularly. I enjoy the editing. I like to see it all come together, but I don't like editing because it just takes too much time. So, whatever you can do on the front end to help alleviate the time it takes to get video, then do that. Also, having a folder for like B roll, if you guys aren't familiar with what B roll is, it's kind of when you're talking and you're like inserting clips, or maybe you want to have an opening to a video to introduce something. So I might just get, clips of ships or clips of the ocean, and I can always use that for different videos. So you might watch one video and say, oh, I saw that clip somewhere. Yeah, it's B-roll. I'm using it on multiple videos. So just start maybe keeping a folder of different things. It just helps to bring the content together. And I'm saying that, but if you looked at my phone right now, and I literally have like 20 SD cards and don't know what's on any SD card. I'm not very organized when it comes to that, but that's something that I am working on. Ashley, I kind of talked about how to start being a travel agent. I also have a live stream on it. So I would say maybe go back and catch the replay on it. The biggest thing is to research a host agency. 99% of travel agents are not doing it on their own initially. Now, I can tell you this, I am to the point now where I have great connections with all of my suppliers that I could go 100% independent. The difference is, if you're curious about the difference, working with a host agency, you have a commission split. Each host agency is different. So I pay a monthly membership, which I don't pay anymore because my sales are good. So I don't pay a monthly membership, but I do give a very small portion of my commission back to my host agency. That's kind of like payment for giving me access to the suppliers, giving me access to the trainings, this and that, what have you. But now that things are going well and I have those connections, I could technically tell my host agency, you know what, after this year, I'm going to just go fully independent, continue to connect with my suppliers, because I don't want to give you this small percentage of my commission. I'm not doing that because my host agency is awesome and I love the supports that they provide, even as someone that's been doing this for a while. Um, so just know that you can truly do it independently, not give anyone. But I feel like the agents that have a host agency, especially starting off, they have greater success than those who don't, because you really get that support, that one-on-one, that guidance that you may need. And then eventually, if you want to branch off, you could do that. But in my mind, I thought this year was going to be the year that I branched off, and I think I'm going to just stay with them, because um, what I get in return for the commission that I give, it's awesome. Is it true that all the CDC inspectors have been fired? As far as I know, that's what I've heard. I don't keep up with those details. I'm not a big news watcher, especially not with the new administration, but that's what I've heard. Welcome in, Big Merce. Appreciate you being here. If you guys wouldn't mind, we have 200 people watching. If you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up button for me and subscribing if you aren't already subscribed. And if you are new here, I'm RacQuelle from MH Family Ventures, and I tend to go live on Mondays for our Monday Midday Cruise Q&A where I answer your cruise questions. But I decided today, because I didn't have this one planned, I decided to do just a chat or answer questions about being a travel agency, starting up a travel agency, being a content creator, because I get a lot of questions daily about that. So I wanted to take some time to answer questions. And again, I'm no expert. I'm just sharing with you my experience and kind of what I've done. Hanging with the horse. Can you share the different software you use on your channel for editing and going live? Video editing is holding me back. So I just gave some tips for video editing. I use CapCut. It is, for me, easy. Filmora is also another one that I've used that was pretty good. But CapCut is kind of the one that I feel like it's easy, and it's easy to put the clips together, and it doesn't require a whole lot of anything. And I don't do a whole lot of editing to my videos. I put the clips, might put some music to it, what have you, but I use CapCut. And then for music, I use Epidemic Sound. If you're ever curious to know about getting music, because you have to make sure that your music, you can use it so that you can still get paid on YouTube. And so I use Epidemic Sound. I do pay like $25 a month for that service, but I can post music and still get paid. But for going live right now, and I'll be honest, I don't care for this platform that I'm on, but because I'm used to it, I'm sticking with it because I don't want to learn anything new. But this is Melon app, which I think is Streamlabs, I think. I'm trying to look to see if it says them on the screen, but it's Melon app is what I use. I think I pay maybe $20 a month for this service. It's not bad, but I've seen some other creators that are able to like add videos and overlays and things as they're doing live streams, and I kind of want to be able to do that. But then part of me is like, I kind of like just keeping it simple. Um, so yeah. Ashley says, do you want to start with the travel company? Yeah, you definitely want to start with the host agency. That's going to give you the best education, the best support. You're able to network with others. They're going to provide you with compliance, all kinds of things. And then eventually, if sales are good and you have good connections, you may be able to branch off on your own. I would just say research to see what the commission splits are. I've heard of some host agencies where the commission splits 60-40. That is insane. If you are with the host agency that is doing a 60-40 split, don't do it. I can tell you that my host agency, the initial split is 80-20. So 20% of your commission goes back to them. But as you grow, I think once you hit 5,000 in commissions, then it goes to 10%, and then it continues. So find a company that is going to allow, there's going to be a commission split regardless of where you go for the most part. But find something that's going to give you back most of your money. Let's see here. Is it Lucia? Says Life of Lucia and Glenn has a question. What's your secret to a successful YouTube and how to be more like you? Well, first off, I don't want you to be more like me. Be more like you. But as far as being successful on YouTube, I think some days I say we're probably not successful because it just depends on the algorithm. Again, I've already said just being consistent, creating a schedule so that your followers know when you're going to post. I feel like the channels that aren't growing are the channels that aren't consistently posting, and people want to see that you're consistently posting. It's kind of like when you watch television, if you think of it like this, um, I call our videos on Friday TGI Friday. If you think about television, when a season ends for a show, a lot of times you forget all about it. You forget you were used to every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. this show was coming on. You sat and you watched it, or you would, what's it called, DVR? You would DVR it and watch it, come back to it, what have you. But once the season ends, let's say it goes 3 or 4 months, you might forget until something pops up. So you lose engagement because you're not posting regularly, so they're not watching for your content. So I think being consistent has helped us be successful. I also think being relatable. I feel like people feel like we are relatable. You have some creators that, and this is no shade to anyone, but there are some creators that more so put on shows. That's just not our style. We're just here to give you the information, whether it's something you like to hear or don't like to hear. We just want to give the information. So I think being relatable and then also connecting with your audience. So doing that through live streams, trying to answer questions that may pop up on comments. Now I do get a lot of comments now that I honestly I can't keep up with every comment, so I don't respond to every comment, but doing my best to make sure that I do try to connect with people that way. But really honestly, the consistency and posting quality content that people actually want to see. I've learned that there's some things on our channel people don't care to see. For instance, hotels. I used to pre-cruise, I would, vlog the hotel, post that. I learned I was getting 200-300 views on that. And so it wasn't worth my time posting or creating that to post out for it to get a few hundred views. So you have to start really reevaluating what is it that people want to see and make best use of your time. But consistency, again, I'm always going to say that's the biggest thing. On the go with Yellow says, I agree. My daughter doesn't like to be on camera, so I try not to have her in vlogs, but she understands she may be in the background at times. Absolutely. Yeah, don't force at all. Welcome in, Jennifer, or she's saying thank you for sharing. Thank you so much, Ruby Ann. Appreciate that. Welcome in, Alice McKinley. Appreciate you being here as always. Let's see. Barnes on the Go says, thank you so much. I really enjoy your content and style. And that's the other thing. Do what works for you, because there are so many different styles. There's going to be someone that loves you. That was something that in the very beginning, and I've heard this, and I've had people, I actually had somebody reach out to me and they started a channel or they've already had a channel. And their channel actually has more subscribers than we do, and reached out. And I won't mention any names. She may actually even be in the chat, but she was a faceless channel giving great travel content and information, but was faceless. And I recall maybe 2 years ago, I got a message from her and she was like, I just appreciate, how natural you are on TV. Like, you don't feel like you have to go put on makeup and do your hair and dress a certain kind of way and this and that. And so you've really encouraged me to step out in front of the camera. And so she's doing it now, and the channel is awesome. I'm not going to share all of those details right now, but channel is awesome, great content. So I think just be you. That is the biggest thing. You're going to see people doing different types of content, different types of styles. You have to do what works for you, because honestly, if I had to put on makeup I don't wear makeup at home. I don't wear makeup at all. The last time I wore makeup was when I got married, 15 years ago, whatever. I don't wear makeup. I don't dress fancy. That's just not my style. And if I had to do that for views or likes, I would be wore out, because honestly, some days just even picking up the camera and vlogging and walking around this and that, whatever, giving information, talking can be exhausting. And having to, thank you so much, M. Rosser. I appreciate that super chat. But if I had to do anything outside of being myself, that's stressful. So I would say always be you, make your content your content. Don't feel like you have to keep up with what everyone else is doing, because I mean, you have to have a balance of not only creating content but consuming content, because there are times where there's trends, or there's times where you notice that there's a shift in what people want to see. So you kind of want to, if you want to continue to grow, adapt a little bit, but you also have to make sure you stay true to who you are and what you do and how you share your content. And that's yeah, that's something that I think is really important. Cobalot says, does the Conquest balcony cabins connect? Depends on the cabin. There are some that connect, but I can tell you that a lot of times these ships are not opening those doors because, well, if you have any inclement weather, they don't always open them. If you're talking about the exterior balcony doors, a lot of times they're not opening this. You have to put in a request with your room steward to see if they'll open them. And the last couple of cruises that I had where we had 2 balconies, they didn't even open them. So I don't know if that's something that's going away, or, they'll say that the weather is not good, it's windy, they have to keep them closed, or if there was something that I don't know. But I would say talk to your travel advisor if you have a travel advisor. If not, well, I was going to say not contact us, but we're not accepting clients right now. So, only because we're just so busy. I'm going to start back real soon, but if you call Carnival, they can let you know which exact cabins have that ability. Just don't book it depending on that, because you may not be able to even open the balcony door. Let's see here. Do you ever have any cruise deals out of Texas? Yeah, we do. We do. I think because the bulk of our clients and people that reach out are from Florida. We post a lot of Florida. We can start sharing more about Texas, but Texas honestly doesn't have many cruise ships either. So when I get deals coming through, or if I see deals, a lot of times it is for those cruise ships out of Miami, Port Canaveral, what have you. But I'll be more intentional to post because I've had some other people ask about Texas. What are some things you can suggest to do first once getting started? Getting started as a travel agent or as a, I'm thinking you're talking about as a travel agent. As a travel agent, I would say not to overwhelm yourself. The first thing you want to do, honestly, is determine what is going to be your focus. And don't go into it thinking you're going to book everything. I've known some people that said, I just started my travel agency and I'm booking everything. Reach out to me. I'm booking flights. I'm booking cruises. I'm booking all inclusives. I'm booking hotels, but you're not an expert in all those things. Even if you travel, I mean, you're not an expert in all those things. So I say take it slowly and figure out what is it that you feel most comfortable with selling and market yourself on that first. And then over time, things will add on. For instance, in the very beginning, I did not book excursions. But the more I cruised, and I'm very familiar with all the cruise lines, and I started doing more third party excursions and actually traveling and doing more, that. Now I feel comfortable when people come to me and want me to help book an excursion or find an excursion because I probably already have a catalog of places that I've been or tours that I've taken that I can just refer people to. So for me, the first thing is looking to see what is it that you want to focus on and then plan your trainings based off of that. And even with that, if you're starting with cruise lines, don't take them all because all cruise lines, like their booking systems, their platforms are not created equally. I would say start with, think of the different tiers of cruising. Think of as a newbie cruiser. Most people start with, Carnival, Royal Caribbean. Don't jump in there thinking I'm going to book Explorer Journeys starting off because that booking system is going to be a little bit more complex. Luxury cruising is a little bit more complex. So kind of start slowly, and don't open it up to everything. For instance, when I first started, I was only booking Carnival cruises. That was it. My first probably 6 months was nothing but Carnival. Now I book all cruise lines. My sister, who's working with me, she at this point is only working with Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and MSC because Norwegian and Princess, their booking platforms are a little bit more complex. So take your time and don't feel like, because this is something else that I've heard people do, and I actually am guilty of this too. I didn't want to lost my train of thought. I didn't want to I lost it. I'm trying to bring it back. It'll come back to me in a second. But utilize the online services that the cruise lines or suppliers provide. And don't feel like if you have somebody that reaches out, let's say if you're only booking Carnival, but they want to book Royal Caribbean, Icon of the Seas, you want to get that. Reach out to the suppliers. They can help get you booked and help you book your clients, things like that. So utilize all of your resources. Also, something else that you want to do first off is make sure you're compliant with your business, making sure you have whatever licensing that you may need. Also, making sure that you have some sort of agency insurance. If you are starting up your own agency, you want to have errors and emissions insurance outside of what your host agency may provide, because this is a little unknown fact that if your host agency has errors and emissions insurance, it's not just for you, it is for all the agents within that host agency. And if they've had to utilize that policy X number of times throughout the year, it gets to the point where it starts dwindling down. And if you, God forbid, I'm thankful, knock on wood, never had an issue where I've even needed to use insurance for a client. But if you make an error on someone's booking, sorry, if you make an error on someone's booking and they can't cruise or something happens and you have to pay out of pocket, you want to try to file a claim, you need to have your own errors and emissions insurance as well. Because if you go to your host agency to try to file a claim and they've already maxed out for the year, you may not get reimbursed. So I would say make sure you're compliant with licensing, make sure that you have some sort of errors and emissions insurance, figure out what your focus is going to be and kind of start there. Don't over, there's going to be a lot of information, guys. When I tell you travel is huge, travel is so large. You have to really focus in on what is it that you feel most comfortable doing and do not try to take on all of it. I feel like those agents that do, and there probably are some agents that do it all and they do it well. I think it's a lot. Um, let's see here. Oh, did it go all the way back to the beginning? All right, hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll back to the question. But while I'm doing that, we have 205 people watching. If you wouldn't mind hitting that like button for me, I appreciate that. Let's see here. I'm scrolling. Jessica says, my family went on our first cruise, Disney Dream this year, and it was amazing, but the price. So I'm looking for another cruise that young children could enjoy departing from the Northeast. Yeah. Um, Carnival's a great family cruise line. So is Royal Caribbean. Those would be the top two that come to mind for me. Let's see here. And speaking of pricing, let me just share this. Being a travel agent, a lot of times don't become a travel agent because you think you're getting deals. I get that all the time. I have people telling me, hey, how do I get started as a travel agent? I want to be able to get deals. Don't become a travel agent thinking you're getting deals because it's not like that. You will get discounts on some things sometimes. Sometimes if your sales are good, you may get bonus, perks or different things. But do not become a travel agent because you feel like you're going to get free anything because that's not like that. I can tell you that majority of what you may see, if I ever tell you that something was sponsored or hosted, more than likely it was from the content creation side, not the travel agency side. So as a content creator, sometimes cruise lines will reach out and, might put me on a cruise, or if I reach out to them, they might say, yeah, we agree. We'll comp your cruise, or we'll add on, all of these things just for you to share a YouTube video, what have you. Most of the discounts, most of the free things, media cruise, media sailing comes from the content creation side, not the travel agency side. There are travel agency rates, and I'm thinking of Disney. Disney does have a travel agency program where you can get really good rates when they have them. They don't always have them, and then once they post them, travel agents take them up. But for instance, Carnival, if you're looking because you want to get a discount on a Carnival cruise, that discount might be $50, $60. It's not what you may think it is. I think my best perk, my best benefit that's consistent, and I use it a few times each month, is Marriott. Marriott, I can get a nice Marriott hotel, $60 a night or what have you, around that price, being a travel agent. But anything like if you're thinking like resorts, or if you're thinking cruises, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get half off my cruise. No, that's not, don't get into it thinking that. Now you will get commission back on your booking, but don't go into being a travel agent for the deals. And I get that a lot. Um, Felicia says, how do you pick which deals to share on your page? I've been watching the Royal Caribbean ones. Honestly, I have a lot of group space with Royal Caribbean, and Royal Caribbean, once they release group space, what I do is I go and I pull out a lot of group space, and then I wait until the point where my rate is a lot lower than the current rate, and then that's when I advertise it. And actually, you'll probably see some of those popping up tomorrow because I'm working on those today to post. There's really no rhyme or reason other than I try to find the sailings that have the biggest percentage difference, if that makes sense. So I want to make sure that whenever I post a deal for Royal Caribbean, that I can say, hey, my pricing is $800 less than the current price. So I'm not going to just post one that's like $60, $70 because I'm probably not going to get as many bookings from that. But if I can tell you, hey, you're going to save $1,000 booking through our agency and get some onboard credit, then people book those. So I just kind of look to see what I have at the time, and whatever has the biggest percentage off is usually what I share. And usually they're out of Miami or Port Canaveral. Amanda says, I remember meeting you on Carnival Venecia in November last year. Well, hello to you. Everyday getaways. I kind of already answered that question. I do have a live stream about how I got started, did some research, found my host agency, and just kind of took off from there. But actually, before I even became a travel agent that way, I started with a company called Arise. And I did share this on another live stream before, where Arise is a phone based company where you can be like a sales rep or a customer service rep for different companies. And I started doing that after our first cruise in 2019, because at that time I was a school principal, and you guys know my husband Ron, he's kind of tight with money. So I was like, well, I need to find a side gig so that I don't have to worry about stressing him about money because I want to cruise. And so I started up with Arise as a phone agent for Carnival. And so whenever I had spare time, I think I was making like $12 an hour. It wasn't even much. But whenever I had an hour or two, I would pick up an interval, which, it was like a half hour, and I would just get on the phone line and answer a call about Carnival. So that's how it started. I did that for like a year, and then I transitioned over. So some people will do it that way, or become a travel or a phone rep for like Expedia cruises or Expedia or Priceline, things like that, to kind of learn the cruise lines and things and then branch off. So that's kind of how I started. When I started with the Rise, I had no intention on starting up my travel agency, but I learned that I like to talk about cruising, and I learned that I was pretty good at getting people to actually book with Carnival. And so I was like, I'm doing this. Why don't I just start my own travel agency? So that's kind of where that idea came from. Let's see here. I don't know why this keeps scrolling all the way back down. All right, I'm going back to it. Let's see here. I'm sorry, it keeps scrolling all the way down. Are you typically able to get a refund on your deposit from MSC? Yes. Yes, you are. If you do it before final payment. Not on Yacht Club, though. Michelle says, welcome back, RacQuelle. Your coverage was amazing. Thank you. You're welcome. But I haven't even released what I want to release. I'm waiting on approval. And it's driving me crazy because I'm to the point where I'm like, oh, man, I want to just release it and not worry about getting paid, but I got to get paid. Philip Mill, welcome in, says hello, RacQuelle, hello, chat. Glad I'm able to catch us on my lunch break. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry. Wanderlust Wendy, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, I know I'm gonna butcher your name, but you're a client of mine. I'm so sorry. I will learn how to pronounce your name. It says, a question about MSC Cruise we booked with you. Is it possible to get a drinks plan for just our children? When I log from the site, I can't select drinks for just my children. No, you cannot. Because anytime you get drink package, if they're in the cabin with you, they want to make sure that everybody has a drink package. So they do have what they call a minors package, and it's just like juice, soda, bottled water, what have you. But what they don't want is they don't want, so you can get the alcoholic beverage package without them getting a drink package, but they can't get the soda and juice package without you getting a package because they don't want you to share. So yes, if you're talking of getting the minors package, you would have to also get the non-alcoholic beverage package or the alcoholic beverage package, or it won't let you book it. So yep. Rachel says, thank you for all your updates and info. I always wondered if you take a break from time to time off cruising. Blessings to you and your family. Yeah, I've actually just started cruising more regularly now that I'm doing this full time. But there are times where I'm just like exhausted. It's like a regular job. And honestly, that's what it is. You know how some days you just want to call off from work? I love cruising, but there are some days where I wanted to call off, and that's what I did today. Because I'm just like exhausted, and I know that I have a big trip coming up in a couple of weeks that I really need to prepare for. We got family stuff going on, and Dice has prom coming up, so I was like, you know what, I'm just exhausted, so I was able to cancel, and thank goodness for travel insurance. So yeah, I do take breaks, and I don't cruise as much as sometimes it appears. But right now this is kind of the season where I cruise a little bit more. And I don't mind cruising a lot, but I prefer to cruise with the family. You probably see me cruise a lot solo, but I don't like being away from the family, honestly. Siobhan, welcome in. Appreciate you being here watching from Facebook. Donna Wright, welcome in. Good afternoon to you. Jen Danielle, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you being here as well. Let's see here. Amanda, welcome in, says, witnessing your growth has been amazing. So happy for you. I appreciate that. Can you make some suggestions for new TAs once they have signed up? I think I just answered that question. Let's see here. Well, you have a vlog of World America. What are your initial thoughts on the ship? Was there anything you think they may have gotten wrong or need to improve on? I will have a vlog for World America. My first vlog will be the ship tour, which I'm hoping when I get off of this, I have the approval in my inbox. I'm hoping I can release it right after this, but if not, they said no later than the end of the day tomorrow. So my initial thoughts on the ship, it's a game changer for MSC. I absolutely loved it. Was there anything you think they may have gotten wrong? Honestly, you'll see this in the vlog. I thought they got the Dirty Dancing wrong, but I learned that the matinee. So in the vlog, I talk about, if you guys don't know, MSC brought on Dirty Dancing as their major production. And so in the vlog, I actually walked out of the show because I didn't like it. I was at the matinee. What I learned after the fact by watching other content creators that were on board with my sailing is that apparently they're doing a matinee during like around noon, or 3, I think it was, where you can go to, and it's a modified version of the show. And so they played a lot of clips from Dirty Dancing and did a couple of little sets of dancing. Whereas if you do it in the evening, it's a full production. So I thought they got that wrong. But honestly, there's really nothing on top of my head that I could say that. The kids splash area, I felt like they got it wrong, because if you guys have sailed on like MSC Shore, Mirabelli, any of those ships, they have a really large splash area, pool area for the kids. They do not have it on this ship. It is really tiny, and it's kind of off to the side of the deck 21 where all of the fun things are. I don't like that, because I know that there's kids, and I've seen a lot of reviews and comments in some of the forums. I know that the younger kids kind of want to have that space, and if you're used to cruising MSC, you're used to having that. So I think that's one thing that they did wrong. Um, but honestly, I can't say what they need to improve on, because keep in mind, for like media preview sailings, even inaugural sailings, they're still learning. So it's hard to say. I can tell you that I do feel like they were understaffed. Sometimes the service was slow, but that is expected on those first sailings. Let's see here. Sister D Israel says, I concur. You traveling, you experience sales. Yeah. And I'm thankful that it does, honestly, because I'm not a salesperson. If you tell me no once, that's it. Like, I'm not gonna ask you again. I'm just not. That's just not my style. But I feel like I'm thankfully to the point where I don't have to ask people. People come to me and ask, even when I tell them I'm not accepting clients. But yeah, so I think just putting yourself out there traveling. And I also, as a content creator, and travel agency, try to avoid using stock information. What I mean by that is, I see some travel agents, I see some content creators that post pictures and images and videos that are like stock video, stock photos. Those don't, I mean, people will still book, but I feel like what sells is them seeing you doing it rather than you posting a picture of St. Lucia or posting a picture of this. You actually showing them that you've done it. This is how I did it. That's what people really want to see. Jen Danielle says, I love that advice. Yes. Only doing cruising is so underrated. And I've heard a lot of people say, like, nope, I want to sell it all. Mm-mm. Nope. Nope. I think it's probably best to start off. Now, I may eventually, if our agency continues to grow, I may eventually dabble a little bit in all inclusives, but I honestly have no interest in doing that, because the cruising is selling and the cruising is working. So yeah, definitely trying to figure out what it is that you want to focus on. That is key. And do what's going to make money. I mean, you're in this to make money. And I tell people this all the time. People ask me, and I know I lose clients or potential clients, because I tell them I'm not booking your flight. I'm just not. And I've had to explain it to people, and most people understand it. I've had a couple to say, well, you're losing out on this. Well, I might lose you, but somebody else is going to come, and it's probably going to be 2 or 3 more that come behind them. So I don't book flights, because if it's a couple things, and I've shared this a few different times. First off, if you are starting up to be a travel agent, flights don't pay. You don't get commission on flights. Flights are the biggest headache, because most of the time and I started off trying to help people book flights, and I learned that was not for me. Flights change daily, the cost of them. Most of the time when you reach out for pricing for flights, people are not ready to book that right at that moment. Flights change all the time. If there's a cancellation or delay, you are responsible to call the airline to make the change or whatever the case may be. Because I travel regularly, if I'm out at sea and I have clients traveling and they have a cancellation, I need to call the airline to resolve that for them, and I'm not available because I'm out at sea. So I never want to have anyone stranded, and I honestly don't want to wait on hold 2, 3 hours with the airlines to make a change on something that I'm not getting paid for. So you have to kind of even set those boundaries with clients, that this is what I'm going to do. This is not what I don't feel comfortable doing this. And I've had conversations with some. I've had some upset, because it's like, well, I was hoping that you'd be a full service agency. Well, we are when it comes to cruising, but I can't book your flight. And this is why. Most people understand, because I travel and cruise regularly, that I may not be available, and I don't want you to be stranded. But if you want to book like the flight through Celebrity, I don't mind booking it. I can add that on, because I can deal with whatever issues you may have on the computer, because I'm booking through Celebrity. I just don't do it. One, because there's no commission. Two, because it's a big hassle to not get paid. So you really have to set whatever it is that your expectations are, and really just lead and guide with that, because it's your business. And I mean, there's probably some people that there's probably some people watching this right now that say, yeah, I reached out to her and she did this. I'm telling you up front what I do and what I don't do. Either you book with me, you like it, you don't, you move on. That's fine. Perfectly okay. There's a ton of travel agents that might work for you. So you just have to kind of set that tone. Ron doesn't like, he's probably watching. I'm waiting for him to pop upstairs. He's downstairs working. He thinks I'm too I guess headstrong on some of those things. But I'm like, it's my business. I have to operate it the way that I want to operate it, in the way that I feel like I'm going to be successful. And I don't want to set someone up um thinking I'm going to provide a service that I'm not going to provide. So yes. How much do you feel like your relationship with your BDM matters? I feel like my sales have gotten better with working with my BDM. Absolutely. Um, Couple of things. Having a great BDM, if you have any issues that you can't resolve for your client, they're going to have your back. Your BDM is going to kind of connect you with things that are happening that you may not hear about until later on. So, like, I can tell you that I have some amazing BDMs, and a lot of times I might hear or learn something because we're like on a texting basis that some people, some travel agents may not hear about until there's a webinar. So just having that connection, like literally, I have probably at least 4 BDMs that I'm on a texting basis with, and BDMs can also, like I said, if you're not a content creator and getting on like media sailings or preview sailings from the PR or media standpoint, your BDM may be able to get you connected, because a lot of times, some sailings, BDMs will have access to X number of cabins for preview cruises. And they're going to first go to like their top salespeople, and they're going to go to those that they have connections with. So not to say just try to connect with them to get those things, but that's just really what it is, because they want they want to put people on these ships that are going to have good sales, because they're highlighting the ship, whether you're a content creator or just a travel agent taking pictures or whatever. They want to put people out there that are going to talk about the product and get more people to book, those that have the proven sales, and then those that they've connected with that they know have the potential to grow because they are trying to learn, they're trying to connect with their BDM. So yeah, I think it really matters. Like, you really need to have good connections with your BDMs. Let's see here. Queen Beauty says, hello, are you signed on with the company and do you pay that company monthly? So my host agency, and guys, I'm sharing my host agency, but do your own research. Don't sign up because I'm telling you that I have a good one, because it may not work for you. But my host agency is KHM Travel Group. And in the beginning, I did pay a monthly fee. I think like $50 a month. I don't pay that anymore because my sales are good, so I don't have to pay a fee. And then you have a commission split, which it starts off at 20%, and then it drops down depending on your sales. So yeah, so pretty much all host agencies charge some sort of fee. If you're with the host agency that's only charging like a $10 fee, there's probably a reason for that. So just kind of do your research. But yeah, you will more than likely pay some sort of monthly fee, and then yeah, depending on the host agency, you may get to a point where you don't have to pay that because your sales are high. Let's see here. Liam says, my family and I are thinking of doing the MSC Virtuosa for the Caribbean 2026, but worried about the ship being too busy. Is it worth waiting for the sea view? I didn't think the Virtuosa was busy at all. It's a nice size ship, but it's not like one of the biggest ships. Sea view is a lot older. I would say thank you so much, B Graham, for subscribing. I appreciate that. I would say get on Virtuosa. We're actually looking at getting on that again because I had an amazing time. The ship was great. Love the ports. Sea view is a good option too, but Sea view is a lot smaller. And depending on the age of your family, your kids, you're probably going to have more to do on Virtuosa. On the Go Yellow says, do you have to be part of a host agency to sell cruising? You don't have to be, but you have to be an independent agent, and you have to get connections with those cruise lines to directly sell through them. And I understand that that process is a little bit harder, and then it's actually more money than it is if you just with the host agency and pay a monthly fee or whatever. But yeah, you can sell cruises without having a host agency, but you kind of want that ongoing oh gosh, I've been an hour and 15 minutes. You kind of want to have that collaboration and be able to learn from others and just the networking and all of that. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless you've been doing it for some time. and you feel comfortable going off on your own, I wouldn't recommend starting off that way though. Let's see here. Lisa says, OMG, glad you addressed this. TA business is work. I signed up in October and have not booked anyone yet. My friends and family are broke. Trying to get YouTube going with all our travel videos for exposure. Yeah. Friends and family, honestly, are your worst clients. It is what it is. That's just what it is. I mean, because before I started our Facebook group, so we have the Facebook group. I think we're close to 50,000 people on there. I have my own personal Facebook. I was posting, sharing pictures, doing this and that, and I would get 2 likes. Now I post on Facebook with complete strangers, and they're the ones that reach out to get booked. That's just kind of how it works. And it does take time as a TA to get started with selling. Like I said, I probably didn't start really making my first few bookings until maybe 5 or 6 months into it. And you have to also remember this: you're not getting paid immediately. People do not understand this. They think, oh, I need a quick gig because I need some money. You don't get paid till people travel. So that is the biggest thing. So when I first started, I'm to the point now where I get commissions every week. So, I mean, I'm getting paid every week. So that's not a problem. But in the beginning, you may not get paid for some time because you're waiting for people to travel. I can tell you that my highest commissions months are between May and August because that's when most of my clients cruise. So you also have to be able to balance what you're getting because my commissions for those months look way different than what they do for like February. So you have to figure out what system's going to work for you. But yeah, it takes some time. It takes some time. Welcome in, Landon. See, guys, I'm gonna go 15 more minutes because I feel like I can keep talking about this, and I may do another session of this because I know people have been asking me to do it. But I'm gonna try to get through some more of these questions. Let's see here. Miss Bless says, any sale on MSC for July or August? That's a loaded question. It depends. I mean, they always have sales. As far as me having any discounts, I don't typically have discounts for MSC, but it just depends. Let's see. Tamara says, do I take all my meds or can I use a daily sorter for my cruise on Mardi Gras? You can use a daily sorter. Sometimes people recommend to carry the actual so that way there's no question on you trying to bring something back into the US. I know things are kind of crazy right now. People are talking about what's happening at the borders and things like that. I mean, if you want to play it safe, I would just say carry your meds. But if you want to use a daily sorter, I mean, that's what we do. On the go, Yolo says my hubby uses GoDaddy for hosting his clients. Yeah, we get over 10,000 people now on our website every month, and I actually had to turn off my chat feature because I was getting all kinds of questions, all kinds of hours, so I had to turn that off. Let's see here. I'm just scrolling trying to find questions. Lynn Phillips says, who's your host? My host agency is KHM Travel Group. But again, do your own research to find a host that works for you because it may not be it may not work for you. Rochelle and Curtis, welcome in, says, I'm sorry I'm late. And if my questions have been asked and explained, just let me know and I will rewatch. How do you edit using the GoPro and iPhone? I just take whatever's on the GoPro. I use CapCut. So whatever I have on my GoPro, I have the GoPro Quick app. I just upload it from my GoPro. Like I don't have to plug in anything. It automatically through Bluetooth. It'll come from my GoPro to my phone. And then I just add all the clips into CapCut, organize them however I want to, clip them, add music, what have you. And everything just kind of syncs well. So I love my GoPro. I'm actually looking at, because I lost some audio on my MSC World America series. So I have a really big cruise coming up in a couple of weeks, and I want to make sure that my camera's not going to malfunction. So I'm actually looking at getting something different. And I've used GoPro since I started, but I think it's time to make a change. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm scrolling. Michelle's asking about should she do World America Balcony or Seashore Yacht Club? I would say if it's your first time doing MSC, I would go with World America Balcony. I wouldn't go straight to Yacht Club until you've experienced MSC, because then you're probably always going to want to do Yacht Club. And depending on your funds or depending on your budget, you may not be able to do Yacht Club all the time. So I would say go with World America. Um, Rochelle says, how did you start your YouTube channel? As we are wanting to start, how do you get monetized? So for YouTube, we actually started off as a cooking channel. We started off as a cooking channel. It didn't go well at all. If you guys go back, the very first video on our channel is Joe Marie makes pumpkin pie. We don't even eat pumpkin pie, but Joe Marie had some friends at school talking about pumpkin pie. and she wanted to make pumpkin pie. So I said, well, let's film it. That was our very first video on our YouTube channel. It's still there, and I think it has 300 views. So she's really cute, but 300 views. So the way we started, actually, it was a bet, it was a dare, because YouTube was banned in our household. Honestly, before the pandemic, our kids could not watch YouTube. I did not like YouTube. Like, I thought it was nothing but bad stuff on YouTube. And then I took my first cruise in 2019, absolutely fell in love with cruising. And then once the shutdown happened, I think I had 3 cruises booked at that time, couldn't cruise. So I was like, man, I miss cruising. So then I turned on YouTube, and the very first channel that I started watching was Pero DJ. And I binge watched all of their videos, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. And I love their vlogging style. I love this and that. And then I think I found Rich and Jazzy Life, and there were some other content creators that kind of popped up, and that honestly kind of inspired me to start. And so just starting your YouTube channel, it's just a matter of signing up and then posting a video. Really, that's what it is. To get monetized, it does take time. I think the current requirements, you need 1,000 subscribers, and you need at least 4,000 watch hours. So that means your videos have to have been watched at least 4,000 hours within a 12-month rolling period. So that, or you have to have, I think it's 10 million short views to get monetized. So it takes a little bit of time to get monetized. And even when you get monetized, it takes time to really start getting paid and get paid enough. Um, there's some channels that make a lot. There's some channels that make a little. It just really depends. Last year we made 42,000 on YouTube, and I still think we're a smaller channel. And I'm sharing this with you guys because I've already shared it. So we made 42,000 on YouTube being monetized from our videos. And our videos don't go viral. They're just, we get thousands of views, whatever. Um, but it takes time to get monetized. When we first started YouTube, I don't think we got our first check until probably a solid year, maybe 16, 17 months into it, did we get our first check. And that first check was like right at that $100 threshold that they require you to have to get a check. Now we're to the point where our monthly YouTube can pay our household bills and our mortgage. So it's just takes time to build. Um, S. Murphy says, what has been something most unexpected about having a travel agency or owning a small business? Thinking that it's different than a 9 to 5. Or thinking I'm going to work less than a 9 to 5. I don't know if I really went into it with that mindset, but I was thinking I kind of have the freedom to do what I want, and really I don't. I mean, I do, because I can shut things off. Like right now, if you go onto our website, the inquiry form is shut off because I just needed to take a break from it. Um, so I'm in control of my hours and kind of what happens, but I'm literally usually up first thing in the morning, um, in my office or in front of the TV, and I'm working. So it's like a constant thing. So for me, don't go into it, especially if things really start booming. You have to be willing to take on whatever's coming in, or you're gonna have to shut it down. So for me, it was thinking that, as a school principal, you work kind of late, you work early, you work late. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have more flexibility as far as that. No. Um, but I could say, you know what, I'm done. I'm not taking anyone else. I'm not, but I kind of like what's happening right now. So I'm going to keep it as much as I can. But, yeah, what has been something unexpected? Yeah, that's just really it. It's not a 9 to 5. But you also have to set those, again, I mentioned you have to set the tone with your clients, because I'm to the point now. Mondays are our days off, especially now that we're still kind of in wave season. Mondays are the days off because that's usually when I get the lowest amount of inquiries or phone calls and things. So I've shut it off, and I've started trying to not even respond to clients on Mondays. I don't respond after certain hours. So like after 6 p.m., 7 p.m., I'm not answering the phone. I'm not responding unless you are currently cruising, whatever. So just having to really set that tone with people that, yes, I'm your travel agent, but I'm not available 24/7. I'm just not. And you have to kind of set that with people. Otherwise, people will contact you at 2 a.m. and expect a response at 2 a.m. Uh, let's see here. Sorry, I am scrolling looking for questions. Liam says, thank you so much, Keisha H. I appreciate your super chat. Thank you so much. Liam says, how easy is it to get started as a travel advisor, and what initial costs does one need to be aware of? I thought it was rather easy to get started, honestly. It was just more the research. I'm a researcher by nature. And so the hardest part for me was doing the research and trying to figure out which host agency to get started with. The initial cost depends on the host agency, but just know that pretty much most host agencies will have some sort of startup fee that you'll have to pay. I think mine was like 149 at the time when I started. Um, and then you'll have to pay for whatever licensing that you may need for your state. I think for Ohio, I paid like maybe $100 for. I think I started up and I paid less than 500 to get started. But it varies depending. There are some states where it might be $1,000 to get started. So it really just depends. But the initial cost, honestly, was just my startup fee, getting my license to sell, or my LLC, getting all of that squared away, getting insurance, and then just making sure you have the technology. Like, I mean, I already had a computer. I initially started with one computer. Now I have one computer. Well, I have a couple devices, and then I have two large monitors. So just kind of figure out what you need as far as your office space and what you're going to work from. That would be the initial cost, but it's not what people think it is unless you're starting up a franchise. So there are some travel agents that start up like a franchise with like Dream Vacations and places like that. You might want to spending $5,000 for your franchise to start. I personally wouldn't even consider doing a franchise because I we're going to become a franchise. It's kind of what my my hope is. Um, but if you do something like that, that will have more of a cost than if you work with a host agency. On the Go with Yellow says, that's smart. My stuff is scattered all over the place. I hate editing. Yeah, editing can be very, very time consuming. Um, is how do you just like can go on a cruise all day? I mean, I do cruise. I cruise a lot. I also work. That's what people don't realize is that I'm cruising, but I'm still working. I have to balance the travel agency with the content creation and the having fun. So I cruise a lot, but I work a lot when I cruise. Jen Danielle says, you're preaching about organization. I don't have it either. Now that I have the camera, it's made a world of difference. I need to implement folders. Yeah. And literally what I do now is whenever I'm flying home, um, I try to disconnect from the internet for the most part, unless I have a really long flight. So I try not to like add on Wi-Fi or purchase Wi-Fi when I'm flying. And what I do is I spend that time on the plane organizing my content that from the trip I just took. So I kind of started doing that. uh, it's a work in progress. Let's see here. Let's see here. Unlearn and eTravel says, you mentioned a support system. I know the host agency helps with travel. Do you have one for the content creation side? I do not. Now let me say this. I do have there's a group of us creators that kind of have a we kind of network and collaborate. I can tell you that the travel space, the cruising space on YouTube is a very supportive group or community. But as far as like having like a go-to company or agency or place that I can go to for content creation. No, it is self-learned. I had no clue how to make a video, how to edit a video, none of that. It was all self-taught. And you can tell that it was self-taught because if you go back to our earlier videos, they look nothing like the ones now. And I'm constantly trying to implement new things. And again, it goes back to what I said. You have to create as much as you consume, because sometimes when you consume YouTube and watch videos and things like that, you pick up on other things. Not to say that you're going to go copy verbatim what someone else does, but you might notice that someone vlogs and they use this style, or that they edit and they do it this way, that you might want to try to incorporate some of those things into your videos. And that's okay to do. Just don't copy everything someone's doing. But yeah, there's no support system in that regard. You kind of have to develop your own support system. And again, I'm more of a self-guided learner, so I'm okay with like looking up videos on how to do things, and I don't want to say I don't need people, but I don't really need that support system in that sense. But there are a lot of creators that are more open to sharing those things. I honestly, because I get people asking all the time, hey, would you mentor me? Would you mentor me on the content creation side? And this, I honestly don't, as much as I would love to do something like that, I just don't have the time. And I would never commit to something that I can't fully follow through with. So it just takes a lot of research and figure out what works. I feel like this thing keeps scrolling all the way up. Let's see here. I keep losing questions because it keeps scrolling all the way back to the top. Let's see here. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Um, Shannon says, "Thank you for answering my prior question. Sorry if I skipped your question. This it keeps scrolling all the way down to the bottom. How did you narrow down your host agency to go with?" Honestly, it came down to their monthly fee was lower than some of the others, and just the supports that I learned that I would receive seem to be better than some that I researched. Also, there's a website called hostagencyreviews.com. I recommend researching there because there will be reviews from current agents that will leave reviews about the host agency. And my host agency had great reviews. But the biggest deciding factor is that they're local. They are here in Ohio, just a few hours from me. So I felt like if I wanted to be able to connect or go to some in-person programs, I could do that because they're right here in my home state. Belinda says, still waiting for MH Family to become a host company. Not right now. um, 70 says, everyone speaks about algorithms. Algorithms. Is that just being consistent? I don't think anybody knows what the algorithm's doing. People have these speculations on what the algorithm's going to do if you do this and that. And I've tried everything. Sometimes I'll post the dumbest video and it'll get 5 million views. And then I'll post something that I thought was really good and very informative and it gets 300. So honestly, now the algorithm does favor you if you're consistent. So for instance, Instagram, if you take a break from Instagram, like I was at one point getting, thousands of views, thousands of likes on videos, and I was posting every day. And then all it takes is for you to stop posting for a few days. And once you get back to Instagram, you're back to like 10 likes. And that's just how it works. So they want you posting regularly and it kind of gives you favor. But the algorithm is just I haven't figured it out. Queen Beauty says that's a good split. Are you or your host agency recruiting? My host agency doesn't recruit. They people that want to start their own business go to the host agency. Major Ventures Travel is not hiring. I get those questions too. We are a family agency, and so as we add on more people, it'll be family. On the go, Yellow says consistency, meaning once a month, same day, same time, or consistently posting multiple times a week. I would say consistency, definitely more than once a month. I would say keeping like a same times, like a same cadence of the same time, same day. YouTube, there was like a lot of speculation about if you post too many videos within like a week that it just doesn't push you out. I kind of believe that, which is why because I used to post more videos on YouTube. Now I'm down to like maybe one, maybe two per week, and I always post it on Friday around the same time, because it kind of teaches the algorithm that I'm going to post around that time, and it also helps me build my following because people know I'm going to post a video at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard on Friday. So yeah, just being consistent. And when I say not when people that aren't consistent, it's because they're posting one video this month and then they may not post until 5-6 weeks later. You've lost your audience because they're no longer looking for you, and you're probably not going to pop up immediately once they log into YouTube. But if you've ever watched, like if you watch how YouTube shows you videos, it's probably the people that you've recently watched. So I don't know who was out earlier today. I was watching Curly and see her World America, and right after that, another one of her videos popped up. So it's like when you're watching people, those videos pop up. But if you aren't posting and you're not in people's feed, you're not going to pop up when you start reposting again. It's going to take them to have to seek you out to get those views. Let's see here. Quaxton, welcome in, says, please talk about how you manage file storage. I don't. I'm probably the most unorganized. Um, I'm laughing at myself, but you know how they say like when you're unorganized, you're kind of like a genius. I'm not going to say that I'm a genius, but I've always been unorganized. Um, and I not to sound like I'm bragging, but I've kind of somewhat been successful in things that I do, and I'm just not organized. I'm just not. I mean, I'm organized. That I think the disorganization causes me to perform better. Same thing with procrastination. Now I'm not like that with the agency. I'm organized with that. I've gotten better. But with the content, I literally have a little box, and I don't have it with me right now. I have a little box that has like 20 SD cards in it, and I don't even have them labeled. I don't know what's on them. I'll just put it in the camera and say, "Oh, this is from that trip," and then I find the one that I need. I did start using for a minute, but I'm not consistent. I had like a, is it a 1 TB like drive that I would try to put the content on there so I could clear out SD cards. I'll be honest, look, this just came in Amazon. This just came in Amazon Saturday because I was supposed to be on Norwegian Aqua today. Like I said, I canceled that. I had every intention on going on that cruise until probably Saturday evening. And so instead of me clearing SD cards, I just get a new one for each trip. That's how I organize. And that just came from Amazon. It's just some things for me just aren't worth the hassle. It's like I'd rather just have a bunch of SD cards and try to figure out and organize it that way. But I do organize it better on my phone now. Uh, on the Go with Yellow says, I've been told many times your people will find you. Absolutely. Because I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I just know I'm not, and that's fine. So yeah, your people will find you. Savvy Boy just says, do you write out a daily plan in regards to posting schedule for social media YouTube? It's a lot to juggle, so how do you manage and know where to start your day? Now, it is recommended to have a content creation calendar. I just don't operate like that. I'm honestly not a planner in that sense. There are some creators that literally will sit down at the beginning of a month and figure out what they're going to post each time. I sometimes, honestly, for instance, this morning I posted a video about the laundry room, about cruise tip for families. Pretty random. About trying to find a cabin near a laundry room. The only reason I posted that was because I was scrolling through my phone from my recent trip, and I realized that I had filmed the laundry room, and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna make that my video today." That's honestly how I create my content, except for the cruise vlogs. The cruise vlogs, like right now, I'm probably 4 or 5 series behind. I try to prioritize those based on what's currently happening. So, like right now, World America is going to be getting pushed out. It's jumping in between MSC Virtuosa, which is my cruise out of Martinique. And then I realized that the algorithm is saying you're posting a lot of MSC, let's post something new. So I think I'm going to jump back to Margaritaville at Sea and then maybe a Carnival. So I just kind of do it that way. But as far as like the daily stuff that I post on social media, a lot of times it's just me coming up with the idea. I have started though, I have a notes section on my phone where sometimes I'll think of an idea for a short or a reel and I'll just kind of jot it down there. So whenever I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm out of ideas, I'll just go to that list and I say, oh yeah, I said I was going to post, this or what have you. And I'll write the date where that content could be found on my phone. And that helps me try to have stuff posted every day. But I don't have a calendar. Mine's all very random. It's all very random. And so there, like I said, there's some creators that have content creation calendars. I tried it, it just wasn't doing it for me. Welcome in, Moonlight Adventures. Appreciate you guys being here. Let's see here. S. Murphy says, what would you say is YouTube currency, views, subs, likes, comments, and which is most valuable to you or the algorithm? Um, Honestly, it's the engagement. So it's not necessarily views. You can get a lot of views, but if you don't have the engagement, which the engagement would be the liking, subscribing, and commenting. So if you're ever curious to know why people say that in their videos, it's because that's what drives the algorithm. It's not always your views. Now, the views do help because if you get a lot of views initially when your video is first posted, it tells the algorithm that people are interested in it and they'll share it out more. But what really drives your views and what drives the algorithm is the engagement. So it's always helpful when you first come into a video or if you're watching to hit that thumbs up. It does help the algorithm for that channel. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you drop a comment, the more you comment, like, share, all of that, it tells the algorithm, okay, people are really interested in this. Let's share it with more people. So it's really important for that. Now, what you get paid on for YouTube is based on your views. So you don't get paid on YouTube based on the number of likes, shares, and all that. You get paid on YouTube by the number of views and how long people view your content because there are ads on your videos. And um it just depends. Like you have some videos that, and I think I shared some of this before. You have some videos that will get, you know, some ads, and you can actually add more ads and things into your videos to get more money. But it really just depends on how many views you're getting. Let's see here. The Moonlight Adventure says, engagement is always good for the algorithm. Exactly. Views indicate a solid TNT, but engagement measures if viewers enjoy your content. Never chase subs, in my opinion. Yeah, because the thing about it is, if you get a lot of people if you get a lot of people subscribing that aren't into your content, it's not going to help your engagement. For instance, there are some creators that go viral because they posted a short, and their short gets millions and millions of views, and they get a lot of subscribers. And then you look at their videos, and they might have 200 views on their videos. Well, first off, they're not really getting paid because shorts don't pay as much as regular videos, and you don't have the engagement because now you have this massive number of subscribers, and those subscribers aren't really even into your content or whatever your focus is, and it kind of actually hurts you. So I'm like, as much as I say I would love for us to go viral, part of me is like, no, I think I'm good just doing what we're doing, because I would hate one day for us to go viral off of like cruise content, and then we attract a bunch of people that just liked us for whatever reason, and now they're not even watching our videos. It kind of does hurt you when that happens. Edward says you're giving some serious knowledge. Well, I appreciate that. I try to share when I can, and I hate sometimes when I have to tell people, "Hey, I'm sorry, I just don't have the time to answer your questions about being a travel agent, content creator." And I'm to that point where I have to do that only because I get so many questions, so many comments, so many DMs almost every day, and I just cannot. Because if I was doing that all day, I wouldn't be able to focus on my agency or the travel or the content creation. So I just can't do that. Um, let's see. Sorry, just scrolling. Let's see. Moonlight says it makes family riches. I feel like travel insurance, although not that sexy or lucrative, is the most important thing we sell. Yeah, absolutely. Travel insurance is important. Now, and the thing with travel insurance as a travel advisor, because like I'm not a licensed insurance agent, I can't advise specifics on travel insurance. I will, you know, I always offer it at the time of booking. Allianz is actually my go-to. Actually, speaking of Allianz, guys, I always talk about Allianz being the travel insurance that I use and that I kind of push to clients. Literally, like I told you, I should be on Norwegian Aqua today. I filed my claim this morning at 9:23 in the morning. By 11, they had approved my claim and paid me out. So that won't always happen. I had all of my documentation, everything that I needed, but just know that. Oh, Sapphire, thank you so much for the super sticker. I didn't see it before if it came through. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Moonlight Adventures, for popping in and sharing your thoughts. Um, let's see here. Jess says, thank you for your wonderful advice. When working with a client, do you book their cruises only, or do you book clients pre-cruise, hotels? We book everything except flights. So if I have a client, for the most part, 85% of my clients, I only book the cruise because that's all they want. But I'll have some clients that want me to help them arrange their pre and post cruise shuttle. I have some that might want me to help with their hotel. I have some that want me to help with excursions, some with insurance. I'll do that, but we do not book flights unless it is through the cruise line's flight program. So yes, but anything else, we just don't. We just don't do. Hanging with the Horde says, for the Marriott discount, do you use your host IATA or do you have your own? You would use your host agency's IATA. You can, if you have your own IATA or your own CLIA, you can use that as well, but you have to go through the Marriott fantastic training. Unlearn says, I'm waiting on your MSC footage. Yeah, me too. Me too. Let's see here. The Steaming Bean, welcome in. I came across your channel today. Well, thank you so much. Enjoying your channel. I'm a teacher in Northern, is that Saskatchewan? 2 cruises annually is my prescription for sanity from those itty bitty kids. I understand. I understand. Welcome in, Kiki from Team Reese Travels. Appreciate you being here. Let's see here. Wanderlust says, I'm now in Port Napa. My first live with you. Tomorrow's Princess K. Cuban, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate that. And we have 179 people watching. I appreciate you guys being here. If you wouldn't mind that thumbs up, I'm going to wrap up here in a few minutes, though, because we're approaching 2 hours and I'm just rambling. Uh, Tomorrow's Princess K. Any tips for first timer going solo? Wear water shoes. It's very rocky there. Um, Even like the shallow parts of the water, there's boulders there. You will stub your toe. Just be careful if you get in the water. That's probably my biggest tip. Get off early because you can find sheltered chairs. When you get off the pier, if you go to the left, there's like some sheltered areas that have loungers that's close to the buffet. So that's usually where we set up because we're close to the food, we're close to the water, and we have some shelter, some umbrella without having to pay for it. And then make sure you get your water tender ticket early so that you can get off early. Let's see here. Sorry, just scrolling for any other questions. Sorry, scrolling. Coblock says, I saw a video from the media sailing. They had a full mini bar. Was there a price list for the items or was it just for the media sailing? So MSC will always have a full mini bar set up in your cabin. Now, those on the media sailing, we were able to utilize it and not be charged for it. If you are cruising MSC, if you use anything from the media, or if you use anything from the mini bar, they will charge you for it. What I usually do is I'll swap out things. So if it's like a Coke in there and I want that, I'll just make sure that I replace it. But they do have a price list. I don't think I filmed it though. There is a price list in the cabin. Jen Danielle says, yeah, that splash area is hidden. Am I really this far behind the chat? Let's see here. Sorry, it's scrolling. And I'm really scrolling trying to answer those questions about being a travel agent or travel agent or content creator. S. Murphy says, for education and training, what is it called again? CLIA. CLIA is CLIA, and it's the Cruise Lines International Association, I think. And then ASTA is the Association for Travel Advisors. You can go there, sign up, you can get certified. Certification is not necessary. The best training would be starting up with your host agency, them guiding you through compliance, things like that. And then the individual cruise lines training program that they may offer. Let's see here. Talithika says, what streaming app do you use again? I use Melon app, and I think it's StreamYard or Streamlabs, one of the two. But if you type in Melon app, it'll pop up. Also, ship tours. Are you recording one every cruise? No. No. I don't do ship tours because for the most part, I walk the ship, most of the ship on the first. So my embarkation day vlog will cover a lot of the grounds of the ship. I don't do ship tours. I did a ship tour this time because that's what MSC wanted and that's what I was getting paid for. But I don't care to do ship tours because I feel like I put enough of that in the. There's some content creators that don't really show the ship. I tend to show it on my embarkation day, and then throughout the. So I don't feel like I need to do a full ship tour. Ship tours take a long time, and my ship tour is only 16 minutes, and it took forever to edit. Sapphire says you definitely have to be direct with people. I love your content because you're honest about what you feel. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Just scrolling. Did not understand the name of the host agency. KHM, like the letter K, K as in King, H as in Harry, M as in Mary. KHM Travel Group. But again, there are tons of other host agencies. That's just the one that I selected. So don't select it because I said so. Do your own research. Secret Gem Travel Agency says the YouTube grind is a full time in itself. It absolutely is. It's excited for the growth over time. It's going to be my family testimony. Ready to have a great following like the one you have here. Well, thank you so much. I'll have to make sure I go over and follow you as well if I'm not already. I think I might be already. But yeah, YouTube is a grind for sure, because it's like if I'm not on my computer, booking cruises, making payments, doing all of that, I am editing videos. Let's see here. Just scrolling. Do I feel like most of your commission comes from group bookings or individuals? I've really got into groups. Yeah, I'm really into groups now. Groups are nice because you get tour connector credits and you get extra perks and things like that. So I like groups, but I feel like right now most of mine, I would say probably 30% of my commissions come from groups, 70% come from individuals. But I'm working on getting more into groups because that's where you get most of your profit. Lisa says, how many trips do you decide to take per year so you could still work? Honestly, I truly book the cruises that I want to cruise on and just make it work. Lately I've been trying to get on like newer ships, trying to diversify my catalog because I honestly believe we do have a catalog of cruises on our YouTube channel because I've taken so many. My next cruise will be cruise number 70. And so most of those cruises I have content on. So I'm just trying to get on different ships, different cruise lines, things like that. And so I don't really decide how many trips I'm going to take. I just look to see, first off, I plan the family cruises based off the summer and the kids when they have breaks. And then honestly, to this point, I'm to the point where I'm going to have to stop planning and just go with the flow because we're starting to get invited. We're starting to get other things to come up. And I don't want to overplan and have to cancel and then lose money when there's other opportunities out there. So I'm starting to do more last minute type planning. So I really have no rhyme or reason for what I take and how many trips I take. I will tell you this. I'm learning that I can't travel as much during wave season. So if you guys aren't familiar with wave season is the busiest booking time for travel for travelers or those who want to cruise. And usually it's January through March, although my wave season has not ended yet. Um, it's been pretty insane. And so cruising and traveling during that period, um, it becomes stressful because I'm trying to get content. I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping up with inquiries and that I'm booking people and doing all that. So like for next year, I can tell you right now for January, February, I don't think I have one cruise between January and February, I think so far, because I can't maintain travel and do all of this at this time because yeah, wave season is just crazy. Um, and just to kind of put in perspective with growth, like I said, it takes time to really start going, but once things start flowing and growing, because I can tell you that this year so far, I've already hit I've hit more than half of what my sales were last year. And we're only what 4 months into the year. So once your travel agency starts growing, and if you have social media, I really feel like they go hand in hand. That social media, that YouTube, whatever will help drive your agency. Not to say everyone has to be a content creator, because there are a lot of awesome travel agents that aren't, that are doing well and doing way better than me. But I can tell you that for me, that it has helped because yeah, I'm currently way more than half of what my total sales were last year already this year. So it's a good thing. Life with Tanisha says, have you found refreshing thumbnails or video description help to draw traffic to previous videos? Yeah, there's a thing called AB, like AB, I don't know what it's called, but where you can upload like two different thumbnails, two different titles, and then the stats will tell you. I'm not good about that type of stuff. Usually I put it out there, it's going to be what it's going to be. I'm not going to be going back and changing it. Either you're going to like the video, you're not going to like the video. I'm not going to do all that. But you can change up the thumbnail and the title and this and that to get hopefully draw more traffic to your videos. A lot of creators do that. I don't. I did at one point, but I just don't have time to do that. But it can help for sure. Oh gosh, and this went all the way back to the beginning. Sorry. Um, let's see here. Lindsay says, worked for a cruise line for 10 years, about 12 years ago. Miss creating vacations so much. Yes. Let's see. I'm going to wrap it up. Let's see. Fun Times with Ray Nancy says, success leaves clues. Yeah, I like that. Welcome in, Sig the Solo Cruiser, fellow content creator and travel agent. Says, been listening while working and just realized I hadn't chimed in. Well, appreciate you chiming in. Lisa says, what's the most cruises you've done in a year and which is your favorite line? Last year I did 22 cruises. That was the most. I don't think I'll do that again. But last year was 22 cruises. And guys, keep in mind, I've only been cruising since 2019 and I'm about to go on my 70th cruise. And we keep in mind, there was also a pandemic in there, so there was no cruising. Favorite cruise line for the family's Carnival. My favorite. Um, I don't know. I keep going back and forth. I really like Princess. I like Celebrity. I can tell you my least favorite is the one that I didn't go on today, which is NCL. Rochelle and Curtis says, which travel insurance do you have to where you can cancel for any reason? I honestly didn't cancel for any reason. I get being transparent. So you typically, like I have a annual policy with Allianz. A lot of travel insurances, like third party, you can pay to get canceled for any reason. You can add that on. Usually it's a lot more to add on the cancel for any reason. A lot of times the cruise lines will offer, I don't typically get the cruise lines insurance, but the cruise lines will offer cancel for any reason where you can get like future cruise credits and things like that. But I was actually able to claim a medical claim for my travel insurance because I do have some underlying medical conditions. And so that's how I was able to file my claim. But Allianz does have cancel for any reason. I have not added that onto my annual policy, but you can do that. Mr. Beast fan says, rest in peace, Pope Francis. Absolutely. Absolutely. Cruising Ange says, did I hear you correctly that you're no longer taking clients temporarily? I started probably a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, not accepting clients. I'm just a believer that you can only take on so much, and I want to be able to make sure that I'm providing a quality service. Which, if you read our reviews, we do. I just don't want it to get to the point where I'm just about numbers and I have so many that I can't manage. And my sister currently isn't full time. I am possibly looking at adding on someone else, but like again, it will be a family member. So yeah, at this very moment, but I can tell you that's going to change real soon. So at this very moment, I'm not, um, just because of there's a lot going on, which we're thankful for. Let's see here. Just scrolling. Sorry, I'm looking for questions. I know there's a lot of other comments and questions. I'm just trying to see if I missed anything about content creation or anything like that, because I do need to get out of here. Let's see here. Hertz Travel, that's a new name. Hertz Travel and Tours, welcome in. Watching you is making me want to start creating cruise content. I'm trying to get out of my own way, just nervous about it. Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like you have to, like if you're a travel agent, you have to be a content creator. I can just tell you that I feel like just in talking with a lot of travel agents, it feels like the content creators are kind of, I don't want to say taking over, but I feel like people are using travel agents, period. There's this misconception that people don't use travel agents. They absolutely do. But I feel like because people are so heavy into social media and so heavy into YouTube right now, that people tend to lean toward what they can see versus what they cannot. And so if you're a travel agent that doesn't really post anything, doesn't share anything, you're strictly over the phone and you don't have a website or you don't have this and that, I feel like maybe it's a little bit harder. And I can't say that definitively because I'm not that type of travel agent. But just in speaking with quite a few, it does seem like those who are content creators are just, knocking it out. And like I'm actually part of a bunch of different groups, and like the other day there were people saying, oh my gosh, I'm 2-3 weeks into the month and I've only had 2 bookings, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm about to hit 200,000 in sales. So, and I truly believe that is because of content creation. I really do believe that. I don't have a personality for sales. It's just not me. But if you watch my videos and if I even mention, hey, if you're looking to book a cruise, people will reach out because they're like, oh, I like her style. I like the information she's sharing. I like that I saw the ship or I saw the tour. So they feel more comfortable booking that way. So, but don't feel like you have to. But I do think if you want to, I think it becomes easier to sell unless you are a true salesperson. It is a lot easier to sell cruises, sell travel if you're actually doing it and showing it. I think that's just the society that we're in right now, where people want to actually see things, and a lot of people, because we're also in a society where people have a lot of anxiety about travel and things, and I think having a visual is very helpful for people because it alleviates that anxiety because they're like, okay, I saw this. I saw what my cabin's going to look like. I feel more comfortable now, or so um, so yeah. But I say start posting, even if it's small. Like you don't have to go on YouTube. YouTube is a great business if you can make it work. Like YouTube pays. Um, like I said, we made 42,000 last year. YouTube pays, but it starts small. Like sometimes it might just be a clip of a cruise cabin or a resort or whatever the case might be. It might just be you posting that and then it taking off from there. Let's see here. CCN Travel Adventure says, question to be prepared. About how many SD cards do you need to take to cover the content on the cruise with the GoPro? Typically I have an SD card in my 360, which is like a 256 gigabyte. So I never really take that out. I just have all my 360 content on there. One 256 gigabyte, which I think this one is not. I think this this one's a 128. I think this gives me about 4 hours of content. And I'm not a vlogger that vlogs all day. So pretty much what you see in the vlogs. If you see a 45-minute vlog, I might have an hour worth of content total for that day, because I just don't vlog all day long. I'm more strategic on what I show. So I think the 128 gives me about 4 hours. This one probably gives me, I'm sorry, this one gives me about 4 hours. The 256 gives me about 8 hours worth of content. So I usually only need one SD card per GoPro. Um, let's see here. I knew he was going to chime in. When you gonna let your husband assist? That's my husband, y'all. Oh, I'm gonna skip over that question. Paula Pick says, for travel agents, if you don't create content on YouTube or Instagram, start a newsletter, keep it active at least one time a month. Yeah, that's another way that travel agents are keeping and getting clients is posting a newsletter. Absolutely. John H says, what do you dislike about NCL? I just don't. It's one of those things where you kind of like, I've been on a couple different NCL ships. It's just not my style of cruising. I don't, there's nothing like horrible about NCL, but if I had to pick a cruise line, that would not be my first go. It's just the feel of NCL is a little different for me. Not to say it's bad. The food for me is good on NCL. It's just not my style. It's just not. I don't even know if I can quite explain it, but it's just not a cruise line that I'm like, I have to get on that, or if somebody gave me a free cruise, I would not pick NCL. It's just my preference. Let's see here. Our life, our way. Happy Monday, RacQuelle. I've been following for a while. Just don't chat much, but love the content. Congrats on your growth. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Miss Patterson says, I agree. I would want a travel agent who has experience to travel can refer me to a video of them providing important info. Absolutely. And that's why I say I feel like we have a catalog, because I can have somebody say, hey, have you sailed on this ship? And I can literally go say, hey, here's the whole vlog series. And that will get people to come book. Erica says, I try to get the current content that I was looking for family travel and recent content. That's one reason I love your channel. It's always showing family things and places. With that said, I never finished posting the cruise from last year. Yeah. It's hard, but I have to do this now because this is how I get paid. So if you have a full-time job, and that's the other thing, if you have a full-time job, it's hard to do all three, because I was at one point when I was still a school principal, I was trying to post on YouTube and trying to do the travel agency, and I could not be consistent. So it's harder if you're not doing this full time. Keep in mind, I'm doing this full time, so I kind of have the time to do it. If you have a regular job, I should say a regular job. If you have a 9 to 5, it could be challenging trying to do all of this. And I think we are at the bottom of the chat. Vanessa says, how does NCL compare to RCL, for example? Um, they're very comparable, I would honestly say. They both have more of a laid back vibe, but I like Royal Caribbean better than NCL because Royal Caribbean is more of a family style ship. NCL, they will have kids on board, but it's just not, that's not like the go-to for a lot of families and kids. And I personally like to be on cruise ships, cruise lines that have families and children. Like, I don't mind a jam-packed Carnival cruise with kids. I love kids. For instance, I was just on Disney, and it really reminded me that I miss being around kids. I miss being, an administrator. I miss being in the school. Won't be going back, but I miss it because that's just kind of what I like. So that's what I mean when I say I can't quite explain it, but NCL just doesn't have, the vibe is just different on NCL, but it's very comparable to Royal Caribbean. Last question. The key to life. Any tips for visiting Mendenhall Glacier in the summer? We did visit Mendenhall Glacier, and actually will be in Juneau this June. Juneau this June. Um, really no tips for it. Um, Try to take a tour. Actually, yes. Depending on your mobility level, I would say try to take a tour that'll get you closer to the glacier. There are some that'll get you right up to the glacier, either by boat or another means. A lot of the tours will have you walk to get to the glacier. You're not going to actually get to the glacier, but you'll get closer to the glacier. But a lot of the tours require that you walk this path to get there. It's not a bad path. You actually get a nice waterfall and all of that. But I had a client, I think last year, that took a tour and didn't like it and learned that she could have taken a boat tour to get closer to the glacier just to get the views. So maybe consider doing that if you don't want to walk and hike, to get closer to it, to take a boat tour, a different tour that'll get you closer. Erica says, yes, I'm at work now. Third patient during this live. Earpieces are great. Yes. All right. So I hope you guys appreciated this. Very long, 2 hours. Guys, I don't ever go this long. 2 hours of talking about being a travel agent, content creator. I hope maybe you picked up on something. If I didn't answer your question, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say don't inbox me, but I may not answer your question if you send me an inbox because I get so many of them, and that's why I wanted to do this. But I will probably plan to do another one. So if you have follow-up questions, maybe sometime next month, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll have my Monday midday cruise Q&A, one, 3 dedicated each month for cruise questions, and maybe one for travel agency content creation standpoint, what have you. But appreciate you guys all being here. Hopefully, some of that World America content will post out tomorrow. I'm still waiting on approvals. I'm hoping that when I disconnect from this, I have the approvals and I can go ahead and release it today. But stay tuned for that. And there's a big cruise coming up here in less than 2 weeks, so make sure you stay tuned. If you're a channel member, you know what that is. But I think that is it. I appreciate you guys being here. It's about to storm here, so I'm gonna go and enjoy the storm before the kids get. Well, Joe Marie will be home in a few minutes, but I'm gonna enjoy this weather, and I will chat with you guys later. Thanks for being here.